Imagine a world where every dollar, every euro, every yen is a digital token, where governments aren't just regulators of money, but the creators of the very code it's written in. This isn't science fiction. This is the race for the central bank digital currency, and it's happening right now. For centuries, money was something you could hold, a coin, a banknote. It was a physical promise of value. Then came digital payments, credit cards, and online banking. But these were just layers built on top of the old system. The physical cash still existed, somewhere in a vault. But what if it didn't? What if the very foundation of money became purely digital, issued and controlled directly by the government? Forget what you know about cryptocurrency. This is a different beast entirely. We're about to explore a financial revolution that could redefine wealth, power, and privacy for generations to come. So, are you ready to see the future of your wallet? In the early 21st century, a quiet storm was brewing. They saw the power of blockchain technology, its speed, its transparency, its potential to streamline a creaky, aging financial system. But they also saw a threat to their monetary sovereignty, their ability to control their own economies. This wasn't just about faster payments, it was about who gets to write the rules of money itself. The old world of finance, with its layers of commercial banks, clearing houses, and international settlement systems, was a fortress built over centuries. The system worked, but it was showing its age. Imagine a world where your social media platform also runs its own global financial system. Suddenly, the threat wasn't just from anonymous coders in the digital ether. It was from some of the most powerful and data-rich companies on Earth. For central banks, this was the alarm bell they couldn't ignore. If a private, corporate-issued currency became globally adopted, it could destabilize national economies. A company could have more influence over a country's monetary policy than its own government. The battle was no longer about technology. It was a geopolitical chess match for control of the future global economy. The digital world wasn't just a new frontier, it was the new battlefield. And so, the world's governments decided it was time to enter the race. So, what exactly is a central bank digital currency, or CBDC? Let's break it down. Unlike Bitcoin, which is decentralized, a CBDC is centralized. It would be a direct liability of the central bank, just like physical cash is today. Think of it as a digital dollar, a digital euro, or a digital yuan, issued and backed by the full faith and credit of the government. There are two main models being explored. The first is a wholesale CBDC. This would be restricted to financial institutions, used for settling large payments between banks. It promises to make the back end of the financial system faster, cheaper, and more secure. The second model, and the one that gets all the attention, is the retail CBDC. This is the digital cash for everyone. You and me. It would exist in a digital wallet on your phone, managed directly by the central bank or through commercial banks acting as agents. You could use it to buy coffee, pay bills, or send money to a friend, instantly, and with near zero fees. No more waiting for checks to clear or wire transfers to process. The potential benefits are huge. For one, financial inclusion. Billions of people around the world lack access to traditional banking services. A retail CBDC could give them access to the digital economy with just a basic smartphone. It could also make government payments, like stimulus checks or tax refunds, incredibly efficient. Imagine receiving emergency funds directly into your digital wallet within seconds during a crisis. And for governments, it offers a powerful new toolkit for monetary policy. In a deep recession, a central bank could, in theory, deposit funds directly into every citizen's account to stimulate spending. They could also implement negative interest rates more effectively, encouraging people to spend rather than hoard cash. The revelation hits when you realize what this level of control truly means. With a CBDC, every single transaction could be recorded on a central ledger. Every coffee you buy, every book you purchase, every donation you make. The government would have a perfect, real-time view of the entire economy. Proponents argue this would be a death blow to illegal activities like money laundering and tax evasion. The black market could, in theory, be wiped out. But the flip side is a potential for surveillance on an unprecedented scale. What happens to financial privacy in a world without anonymous cash? Could this data be used to create a social credit system, rewarding or punishing citizens based on their spending habits? What if access to your money could be turned off with the flip of a switch if you express a dissenting political opinion? If people can hold their money directly with the central bank, what role is left for traditional banks? The resolution, as it stands, is that there is no single resolution. We are in a period of global adaptation and experimentation. China is leading the charge with its digital Yuan, the eCNY, which has already been trialed by millions of citizens. Their focus is on efficiency, surveillance, and challenging the dominance of the US dollar in international trade. The European Central Bank is deep into its investigation phase for a digital euro, trying to balance the promise of innovation with the EU's strong commitment to privacy. The United States is taking a more cautious approach, weighing the potential benefits against the risks to financial stability and civil liberties. Each country is forging its own path, shaped by its unique political, economic, and social values. The future of money won't be a one-size-fits-all solution. Instead, we're likely to see a fragmented landscape of different CBDCs, stablecoins, and perhaps even decentralized cryptocurrencies, all competing and coexisting. We are adapting to a new reality where the line between technology and statecraft is blurring. The questions we face are monumental. How do we build a digital financial system that is efficient and inclusive, without sacrificing our fundamental rights to privacy and autonomy? How do we ensure that these powerful new tools are used to empower citizens, not control them? The choices we make in the next decade will build the financial world our children and grandchildren inherit. It's a world where money is no longer just an asset, but a reflection of a nation's core values, encoded for all to see. This brings us to a final, lingering question. As our world becomes increasingly digital, what is the ultimate source of value? Is it the promise of a government, the consensus of a network, or the inherent utility of the technology itself? The race for the central bank digital currency isn't just about modernizing payments. It's a global referendum on the future of trust, power, and freedom in the digital age. The code is being written right now, and its impact will be felt by everyone. What kind of financial future do you want to live in? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve on the biggest shifts in technology and finance, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.